this is just a good thing to think about. Because I think this happens in a lot of different areas where people are so focused on like this tiny group that they won't address like a larger problem. We were talking about something like this earlier today with therapy. People are so worried that if you critique therapy, then the people that actually need therapy won't go because they're afraid of the stigma, even though there is like a broader problem within therapy that's harming more people than that small group that maybe wouldn't go because someone says something about therapy. I think that's what's happening here, is that there's such fear that someone's going to come after them because of the fish, or the fish are going to gain sentience and be like, you let us die. And they're willing to sacrifice human lives for that end. Welcome to The Crunch, the only Catholic podcast recording from under 1 foot of snow. It's your boy, Ethan.
And I'm Patrick. Are you under 1 foot of snow right now?
It's Snowclahoma right now.
Oh, yeah?
We didn't get a foot. We didn't get a foot. We probably got 6 inches. But it snowed all day today. It was amazing. Nice. It hasn't snowed in Oklahoma. I've lived here since 2018 in different parts of the state.
And you've never seen snow in the state?
There was an ice storm one year that was on the night that my wife and I had our engagement party. And that's it. And then today's
feels
snow.
Like ice storm feels like it doesn't count.
No,
I understand
no.
that it's very cold, but it doesn't feel like snow.
No, it's not the same. Snow. It was so special. We went out. We got the lid of a metal trash can, and I put WD-40 on it, and we tried to toboggan down the hill behind our house, but it was too heavy, and so I put Peter on it, and he just kind of sat there. So I had to just kind of like manually push him down the hill,
which you could do anytime.
Really, I know. Yeah, there's no reason to wait for snow to do that.
It could have snowed in Florida today. I don't know how that worked.
Has
but
it ever snowed in Florida?
32 degrees outside. Yes, it has. Yeah,
no,
but it was years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 32 degrees outside, and I think that in the state of Florida, you may have heard me tell this joke because I've told it 3 times today. But this is the last time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in the state of Florida, Meatball Ron DeSantis should give us a tax rebate. Sorry, beautiful Ron DeSantis should give us a tax rebate of $500 per citizen for every day that the temperature drops below 50 degrees. Because that is not why I moved here. I moved here to be warm and toasty all the time and not cold. And I'm chilly. I'm chilly, Ethan.
I think it's good to be chilly every once in a while. You need to be reminded that the earth is an inhospitable place.
That's certainly true. Don't worry, I'm in sales, so I'm regularly reminded that the earth is an inhospitable place.
You having a bad week, huh?
No, absolutely the opposite.
Oh, you're having a good
actually.
week. You're cooking.
Yeah, I hit my 5 sale quota in 3 days.
Nice.
It was just like, what do I do for the rest of the month? So
that's nice.
Sit around again.
I guess you need to do create, publish, profit, and grow 10x your X.
That's actually we're doing like a cohort course thing that started today. So I'm really glad that I finished that up. But It was nice. It was two sales in a row. Wanted to go into 2 magazines, and that counts as 2 sales. And so it was like, it was really simple, really easy. And now, I'm good. I'm probably gonna sell some more because my commission doesn't go up anymore, but I still get commission on those sales. So it's like it's still worth selling.
Yeah.
But I had a really great week. Obviously I had a couple of, bad conversations, but we don't talk about my day job on the podcast.
No.
That's not interesting.
It's not interesting.
Sales guys find it interesting. They're like, what are your numbers, man?
Yeah. Can I tell you my sales win for the week?
Yes.
So it's not even from my current job. It's from my old job. I got a text from the job that I left 6 months ago exactly.
Oh, wow.
And it turns out that a grant that I had applied to came through, and it was a 6-figure grant.
Hey, there you go.
So I'm updating my resume immediately to read 6-figure major gift officer, even though it didn't happen while I still worked there.
Hey, it went through.
I know. The paperwork, must have processed at some point. But I saw that and I was like, beast. This is great for me.
6 figures. What was the first number? Was it a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or a 4?
I'm not liable to say, but it is this one of the smaller ones.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It is one of the smaller numbers.
Yeah. But that was kind of fun.
Dudes will make $10,000 1 month and be like, "I'll make 6 figures."
I make 6 figures.
My run rate. If you multiply my run rate,
if you annualize it,
that if you annualize, yeah. Sometimes my regional will be like, "Hey, this is your run rate. You could make this much." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's not gonna happen every month." You know, like
it's no fun when someone else does. It's normal when you do it. You like get out the calculator app and you're like, "All right, I could fit this." But then someone else is like, "No, this could be it." It's like now I feel like you're lying to me. Now I feel like you're telling me something
come on,
that's not true.
Yeah. Guys, if you're ever on Twitter and someone starts talking about how they made, like, don't believe if someone says figures. Specifically, make them say numbers. Make them
every
say
number, and even then, say is that pre or post tax. Force them to acknowledge the fact that they're not actually taking home the amount that.
Is that revenue or profit? Is that like what were your expenses?
Give me EBITDA.
Give me your EBITDA. It's a beautiful name for a it's a beautiful name for a baby boy. Hello, my name is EBITDA Stevie.
This is my grandma EBITDA. Oddly enough, very poor for most of her life.
Very poor for most of her life.
She had no earnings before interest, taxes, dividends, and amortization.
What was I talking about before the podcast started?
You're talking about the vibe shift. So Mel Gibson was on Joe Rogan today. So that's part of the vibe shift.
That's part of the
He's talking about the Pachamamas on Joe Rogan, which is crazy.
Dude. Again, this brings back the theme of everyone's mad because the stuff that we've been talking about on Catholic Twitter for 10 years is now mainstream.
Yes.
And it's like, look, you didn't do a good enough job talking about it, and so now other people are going to talk about it for you. We lost. I'm sorry. You can try and win now, but you just anyway. A preacher is going on Joe Rogan and talking about the historical evidence for Christ. Stuff is turning around. I made this point earlier. I was like, this is not like a cataclysmic shift. It's like in the 1950s, Fulton Sheen had a TV show on ABC. You know what I mean? It's like America used to be a lot more Christian than it is now. For like the last 50 years, we tried this experiment where instead of religious, America is like super horny, and it failed because everyone got diseases within 20 years. And now we're kind of like, hey, maybe we're also not having any kids, so maybe we should go back to loving Jesus instead of our bodies. And it's good. It's moving back. But the one thing I wanted to talk about was I've started to notice that people are making priest pedophile jokes. Sorry, family-friendly podcast. They're making priest PDF file jokes. A little too aggressively, as if they know that they need to get them out before.
Right. It's like
it runs out.
It's like your last month at college, and you're trying to get in that last time with that girl that you never had that shot with. You know. It's like
man.
Maybe she'll go out with me in May.
Maybe she'll do it, but it feels when someone, I don't know if you've had someone say a priest pedophile joke to you recently, but it feels like they're all the time.
Every day. Yeah.
Every day. Well, we are on the internet, but
we're on the internet. That's what we welcome it by having Catholic in our X handles.
It's true. If someone were, and having faces, apparently, if you're like, oh, this guy looks like, I could change my face tomorrow and someone would still be like, he looks like a pedophile, because pedophiles could be anybody. All right.
We're equal opportunity pedophiles on this podcast. Hold on. We're not equal opportunity pedophiles. Hold on.
We're equal opportunity.
We believe that anybody could be a pedophile if they wanted to. Not that they should. Really
applied themselves. Sorry. If they now who's in 2008? This is 2008 podcasting.
That's true.
But when people make those jokes now, it feels like it's making a Charlie the Unicorn joke in 2024.
True.
You know, this is from a period because what happened in between
Charlie bit my finger.
Movie, that's a different Charlie.
Ow,
but same bait.
Ow, Charlie, the unicorn.
Yeah. even like the Spotlight movie came out 10 years ago, and that kind of resurfaced it. But even between then and now, the Me Too happened, and we found out that everybody was a pedophile, like Washington and Hollywood and
Jefferson, Adams.
We found out that all of them were pedophiles.
Yeah.
And now Zoomers think that like a 22-year-old dating an 18-year-old is pedophilia.
It's
So like
pedophilia.
everybody's a pedophile apparently.
Yeah.
And so it just doesn't hold as much weight as it used to. So I think Catholics are almost in the clear when it comes to the kid stuff. So that's good.
Yeah, and you don't realize, I mean, people who have only seen the Spotlight film and maybe know about the Cardinal McCarrick thing, they don't realize how much it's been cleaned up. Other than that one guy in Louisiana that absconded with that girl and moved to Italy to marry her. That's like the only thing that I've heard. Everything else.
That's the first time I've ever heard of something happening like recently with someone under the age of 50. Like a priest under the age of 60.
With a priest under the age of 60 with a woman. Usually, it's with just adult men. Is the thing now? It's like
was it a high school girl? That sucks.
He was the high school chaplain. Really, and they had she was like her spiritual director, Yeah. So that's a crime.
You gotta, man, my brother priests, those who listen to this podcast, you guys gotta be careful. Not like, oh, they might accuse you and you might get, but you gotta recognize that you are a young man and that you are not immune to wanting to be liked by pretty girls. You gotta cut that out because everyone sees through it and everyone thinks it's weird.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm reading this book, this Napoleon book, and he gets crushes. He gets crushed on a girl that's like 16. He's 24 or whatever. Back then it was normal, but like the stuff that he would write to her, it's like he was down bad before it even started, Like he would be like, I yearn for you or whatever. It's like you're writing a letter. You're supposed to be manning the cannons, honestly.
She has
and you're
every
thinking
guy's
about
telling her. Don't tell her she's pretty. She has 12 guys telling her that she's pretty.
Yeah.
Conquer Europe.
Conquer Europe. I know. And he didn't even with Josephine, he was like so desperate. He would write things to her like I'm not going to say on the podcast. But,
yeah. The things that are funny, but
but she wouldn't write him back. She didn't care because she's like, get Egypt, conquer it and then come back. I feel like the same for priests, Like you want a young 17-year-old girl come into your office to like talk to you because she's got problems. Why don't you go feed a homeless man some food and like go preach the gospel to the Protestants down the street that think that you worship Mary and that the Eucharist is an idol, Like why don't you go do something instead of sitting in your office? There's lots of priests that don't have this problem. But if you do have this problem, it's like there's so many other greater things you can do for the kingdom than like, oh, well, she's in a really unique time right now. She really needs my help. This is true for any man, by the way.
I've never met a Catholic girl who has trouble getting spiritual direction. I'll just say that. They always find a way. It's always.
That's true. That's true. It is one of the, oh man. That's crazy. I've never thought about it that way.
It's like I honestly think the pedophile thing is a smokes. This might be a little too harsh on our clerical brothers, but I mean it's like you have to be careful because you have this immediate. You have this assumed trust, and like celibacy enables you to do things like this in ways that married men simply cannot for obvious reasons, right? Celibacy enables you to do these things. And despite the fact that trust of celibacy has been broken many times over the last few decades, people tend to not care as much when it comes to women that are above the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, well, like, oh, the door's over, it's but so that means that it's all up to you. Like chastity is about not over giving yourself to someone in like an emotional way also. And so I think that I fear that that's common. It's easier for a married man to avoid it because you can just put up the boundaries of like, well, I'm just not going to get close to any woman that's not my wife.
Yeah.
Easy.
It's way easier to set that. But I think when you're a parish priest, you have to find like an old woman that is like the secretary or something and be like, you're going to be my only friend. And your name is Dolores and you're 80 years old and you're my friend. And I don't talk to any women other than you.
and you talk to all of the women for me.
Yes, I need a female delegate, and she needs to be 80, and she needs to be Dolores. You were talking about the vibe shift, about how it's not funny to talk about.
Be sad. Oh, Dolores, not Dolores. Okay.
We got to get away from this. We got to talk about current events, not make niche Catholic jokes. That only
Dolores is a word. It's an SAT word, but it is a word.
Get that language down. Get that vocab down to 6th grade expeditiously, brother.
All right. Enough on the priest. If you think I'm wrong, DM me.
Yeah, I do think it's more of a homosexuality is more of an issue now. But even then, I think that'll go away because the numbers are going down. So it's only going to be the people that really want to do it. Like now that you can just be gay, why go through this 8 years of school? Yeah, you don't have to be a priest. You can just be gay. If you want to be a pedophile,
that's how I feel about some of the cardinals. I'm like, guys, you can just
you just quit.
No one really cares.
If you want to be a pedophile, I mean,
there's some rules. We got some rules against that. And
there's some rules against it, but there's way easier. There's way easier ways to do it now. Like you don't have to become a priest so that you can have access to a school or to altar boys or whatever. You just go on Instagram, find a woman who just constantly posts videos and pictures of her children, and you can just be a pedophile that way.
Yeah.
So, for better or for worse, modern society has made it so that only the people who want to be priests are actually priests, and the people who don't just have other ways to do their things. It's like, thanks, technology. You really saved the priesthood in that way.
Yeah. And it's good because now they're going to a place that's insanely trackable, and then they just get caught.
Right. Exactly. They end up on a show on E.
No, they end up on a body cam video on YouTube. I saw one that when the guy was like, I got like a weird email the other day. Like the cops like interrogating the whole family, and he's like, you know what? I got a weird email saying my account had been hacked. And they were the cops would be like, that man, shoot that man.
Get him.
Get him.
Get him right now.
They were like, what email was it? He said the email, and the guy was like, that's the one on the warrant. You absolute dummy.
Dude, that's funny.
But thank you. I mean, I guess, it's that kind of crime doesn't exactly attract people that think through their actions,
True. I had something else on this, on the... and this is why to go back to your original point, this is why it's no longer funny to make the priest pedophile jokes, because there's fewer and fewer priest pedophiles.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's instead of it being like we know we're working on it type of thing, which is what it was from like 2002 to 2014, vaguely. 2018, really. 02 to 18 was the, we know era. And then from 18 onwards, it was like, okay, all this bombshell happened from McCarrick and the Pennsylvania grand jury report. But even then, everything was still from like the 60s through the 90s. There really wasn't anything.
The Pennsylvania grand jury report was all stuff that happened in the past.
Right. Yeah. And I still think that's the case most places, is that this is all pre-millennia, the turn of the millennium, Y2K. So it's not funny anymore because the priests are all good men and we just want to defend them. And like that video that I posted about the people cheering for the nuns, it's like back 10 years ago, it was like, boo, you hit my hand with a ruler and you were so mean. And why were they so mean to me? They just wanted you to learn in school, dog. And you interpreted it as being mean because you didn't have any discipline anywhere else in your life.
They also weren't mean. They were just from Boston. That's just how it was. Like you lived in Boston and everyone there is mean. Mm-hmm. If Paris is the city of love, Boston is the city of hate.
Dude, we should go to Boston. Can you and me go on a pilgrimage to the bar where those three guys are standing out in front of it? And the guy says, obey your mother.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, but
that'd be so funny to do a podcast.
Obey your mother. But yes, I think that it's time that we put the priest pedophile stuff out. I think we put it on. I think we put it away, especially because what started happening was news story. Like the reason why everyone is mad about the pedophiles and the priest pedophiles, or at least the reason why they say, is because the church like covered it up. They moved them around. Mm-hmm. They moved them from parish to parish so they could, and then they had free reign to do this to kids, right? the independent Southern Baptists had the same problem, but instead of moving them, they just got fired and they would just move to a different town and start a new church.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have these news stories coming out that are like, yeah, that transgender high school kid, he was abusing girls in the girls' bathroom, and then we sent him to a different school and he did it again. And it's like, hey,
wait a minute, I know that play.
Hey, where's your Spotlight movie? Someone called Mark Ruffalo and get him on the phone.
You guys run the jet sweep too. That's so funny. We do the same. We use the same playbook. You guys, it's the Jets 1972. We use that same one.
That's nuts. That's nuts. I don't know if I made that joke on the podcast before, but I was like, when I read that news story, I was like, hey, what? Where's all the hullabaloo? It'll probably come out because the tide is shifting now. Obviously,
the tide is shifting. One thing I've been thinking about is I can't wait to annex Canada because it means we get to rebuild all those churches and prove that those mass graves are not actually real.
They've like to respect the victims, we aren't going to unearth. And I'm like, okay, then you just can't say anything. Like, you're like, there's a bunch of my neighbor killed a bunch of people and they're all buried in his backyard. But I'm not going to go in there.
I'm not going to go.
You're not allowed. Actually, I'm going to make sure you don't go in there.
It's illegal. It actually would be against my religion for you to dig up that yard with all of those dead bodies in it to prove the claim that I'm making.
So, like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm supposed to take it de fide that there's bodies there that were also that they were brutally murdered by the Catholic Church.
Yeah, whatever. I would genuinely. I'd be totally fine with them digging it up and then finding bodies, and then there's already been an apology, you know? I don't think, if it did happen, it's a terrible, terrible tragedy. But there's no proof that it happened, and so we don't need to act like it happened.
Yes.
So that's why we need to annex Canada. We need to get some spectrometers out there, and
like for ghosts?
To examine the dirt and such.
Oh, okay.
Do they have things that can detect ghosts? I guess on the Discovery Channel, ghosts.
Do I not know what a spectrometer is? I think a spectrometer detects ghosts.
It's that thing that you hold above when you're at the beach. Beep, beep.
Metal detector?
That's what I'm thinking of.
But for bones.
But for bones. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Sweet.
What would that be called? What's the scientific name for bone?
Boneometer. Osteo. An osteometer.
An osteometer. Yeah.
Yeah.
The bone detector. Come on. We're talking science. We're talking 5th grade science. We're talking the skeleton.
There's no room for that in science. Oh, man.
I talked to Peter the other day. I was like, your name's Peter. He goes, I'm not Peter. I'm a skeleton. And then he ran away.
Dude, that's awesome.
I know. My kid is so based.
Leo's like, I'm not gonna do that. I go, why not? He's like, because I'm a big boy. I'm like, all right.
Peter likes to pick and choose when he's a big boy and when he's a little boy. You know,
they really do, don't
he's
they?
He's a big boy when it's time to eat a brownie and when he doesn't eat his food. But he's a little boy when it's time to like pick up his toys. You know, oh, he's so clever.
Does he say like, I'm a little boy?
No, Dada, I'm little. I'm not big. I'm little.
I'm little.
Today when we went out in the snow, we put a little toboggan on his head, little stocking cap, and you push it on there, right? And you're doing all these other things, and he looks around, and it's over his eyes. He goes, "I cannot see, Dada." Oh, it was great.
It's so good.
I love that guy.
I love when kids get things over their eyes, man.
It's so funny every time.
They don't know. They don't know what's going on.
They're lost.
They're like, "Is this like permanent? Is this going to be forever?"
Have I lost my sight?
Today. I knew I shouldn't have stand too close to that TV. Catholic men, if you want to be a great man, you have to know yourself first. And I will admit, I used to think I knew myself pretty well until I did Exodus 90. I thought that giving up social media would be hard because I love tweeting. However, it was television that was hard for me, honestly, because I admit I watch The Office on my phone while I'm getting ready and doing things. And so when I had to give up television and I had to sit in silence, I was like, oh no, I have to be alone with my thoughts. That's terrifying. But it was good because I got to talk to God more and also my wife, the two people who are the most important in my life. At that point, the only two people that were important in my life, Leo had not yet been born. So when I did Exodus 90 in 2022, I was able to reconnect with my wife, reconnect with my God, and prepare the way for my little bundle of joy who is potty training now. So pray for us. All of that is to say, if you've been considering doing Exodus 90 every single year for the last like 10 years, now is your time to do it. Okay? Stop pussyfooting around, which is something you can say on a non-explicit podcast because that is a word, pussyfoot. Stop pussyfooting around and go to exodus90.com/crunch, exodus90.com/crunch, and get a 14-day free trial of their mobile app that is essential to the experience of Exodus 90. Trust me on that. Don't wait, because Exodus 90 starts on January 20th. Hop in that cold shower and give up all non-essential things in your life except for this podcast, which, as you know, is the most essential thing in your life. Thank you to Exodus 90 for sponsoring another episode of The Crunch Bagel. I hope this ad was funny. All right, man, listen. I try my best. Thank you, Exodus 90, for sponsoring this episode of The Crunch. Now back to your regularly scheduled crunching. So Los Angeles is on fire.
I was going to say the same thing.
That's crazy.
Do you think it's God's punishment? To me, this is just a continuation of the vibe shift. It's like, it's no longer funny to make fun of priest pedophiles. It's no longer, it's no longer in vogue to hate religion. Right now, it's cool to be pro-religion. Mel Gibson, Protestant pastors are going on Joe Rogan. And then they burned up the most anti-Christian city in the country. They burned it up. Do you think it was arson? Do you think it was an accident? Do you think it was what happened in Maui with a directed energy weapon? What do you think?
I have no idea what caused the fire. I do think the result of the fire is going to be the reddest California has been since Reagan.
Well, it's red now due to
Certainly
the flames. Yes.
But I mean, I don't think global warming messaging is going to save the Democrats on this one.
No.
I think that DEI firefighter and what's the other thing the right is saying? The anti-conservationist messaging is going to go very well for the right, and I think they might.
Yeah.
I think they might win some of California over in a serious way.
Yeah, I saw something today that said Gavin Newsom was like, people were saying, "Hey, Gavy,
what happened,
Mr. Newsom?" I took a wrench to my local California fire hydrant, cracked that bad boy open, dry as a bone, osteo detector going off.
What do I do?
What do I do? Gavin Newsom says, "Find your own water." That's legitimately what that's what he said. He says, "Go find your own water." What do you expect me to do? I'm just the governor. I can't.
I'm just the guy that's in charge. Controls most things.
I control all the interstate commerce and resources in and out of this territory. What do you want me to do? Get you some water? Do you know why they don't have any water?
Oh, it's because the fish thing.
They're
right?
dumping it all, the billions of gallons into the ocean where there's already water.
Yeah, they already have enough of it.
I don't know why they need to add more.
I've been to Hawaii. They got water in every friggin' direction in the Pacific Ocean. Holy cow!
It's insane. I do think
first thing my wife says, the most wife things like, why don't we just use the ocean water to like put it on? I'm like, honestly, why not?
There's lots of reasons why you shouldn't use salt water to.
Well, it'll salt the earth. Well, I mean that you can burn the earth.
Burning the earth is not the worst thing in some circumstances because it refreshes the soil. But
comes back.
Salting the earth is just a guarantee of nothing.
Famously,
nothing
negative.
Coming back. Yeah. Do you think it's God? Do you think God's punishing us? Do you think Los Angeles is just the beginning, and it's all going to come crumbling down?
I mean, I try not to ascribe deeper meaning to these things.
It all has meaning. You think nothing has meaning? You think that God just sent us into motion like a simple clockmaker, and he turns on the clock and he steps back.
I think
like Thomas Jefferson?
Either every good thing, either every bad thing is God chastising us, or nothing is. I guess that's my opinion.
Every bad thing is God chastising us.
Yes, every bad thing is God chastising. So I don't like, oh, this is uniquely God punishing California for its, because it's like,
it's not uniquely God punishing California for its sins, but it's God punishing California for its sins.
Sure. Yeah, I guess my answer is yes, but not in any difference than most bad things, or God not. I didn't say punishing. I said chastising for a reason. Like God always allows these things to happen to remind people of their dependency on Him, and the fact that the wealthiest people in the world are now refugees in their own state as a result of their own decisions and actions.
Right.
It should be a stark reminder, because not like a week ago at the Golden Globes, right? They're like, hey, all these liberal policies that you guys pushed, you guys couldn't get them through. And then, except for in California, and then all the liberal policies in California caused the city of Los Angeles to catch fire. For those of you who are unaware, that's not being pulled out of thin air. The policies in California are largely why the response to the fire is not adequate. So there was a conservation effort to reroute a river into the Pacific Ocean to save a species. Maybe it was more than one. I don't know, but at least one fish. At least one species of fish, and
trade sharks. I would like to propose to you.
One fish.
I get one fish. You get
real shark. Hey, you get a fish. Sharks are like, a fish?
A fish. And in exchange, I will allow you to burn 100% of the real estate in Palisades Park, Palestine's
Pacific
Park,
Palisades.
Pacific Palisades.
In Free Palisades.
Dude, I saw the best joke on Kill Tony the other day. I don't know who this guy was, but he said, Palestine, as far as I know, they're not pals with any Steins. I was like, that's electric. I've never heard that before in my life. That was so good.
That's pretty good.
It was amazing. Carry on.
I can see that guy thinking like noodling, like, hold on, Stein. Got it. It's a comedic brain.
Yeah.
But yes, so the water was redirected, and this is not something that's isolated and something that's new. You can watch a video of Donald Trump talking about this exact problem on Joe Rogan.
There's articles from the Drudge Report in 2012 talking about this.
About like, why are you rerouting the water? This is bad. Like, and California has been under a drought has had drought warnings and problems for
a long time
years. And the funny thing is that it's, every time it happens, the talking point is like, oh, this is global warming. There's a drought because of global warming. But in reality, the conservation effort has been draining California of its water for years, and now it doesn't have any water to fight a fire with. And it's like, what are you supposed to do? The messaging there is if you're just opening yourself up to an attack, from the right, and you're just that's an obvious win. It's like, hey, you've lost your home. Do you know why? It's because your city didn't take care of you because of these policies, this insanity, like this. It's the meme where it's like liberals caring more about things that are far away from them than the things that are next to them. It's like, you didn't care about the water in your reservoir, you cared about the water in Washington, and so now your city is burned to the ground. So like, there's no reason we should be having 1850s stories in 2024. There is no reason why we, in our civil engineering mastery, should have cities burning to the ground, especially not the second biggest city in the country. This is not a Mrs. O'Leary's cow situation, all right? We should, there's no reason why major cities should be burning to the ground. This is the only place where that happens. Why? No, other places have forests. There aren't regular forest fires in Ohio. Why does this keep happening in California?
Ohio's not a desert. You got to remember that California is arid in a lot of places.
But forest fires don't only happen in deserts. Smokey the Bear doesn't live in a desert. There's brush fires in Florida all the time.
Yeah, but you just have to throw those into the glades and they get put out.
We have burns all the time in Florida. We burn to make sure that the wildfires don't happen.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's like
there's been fires in Kansas, but in like rural Kansas, things have happened, and in rural Oklahoma, out the west, I think that it happens sometimes. We used to have aqueducts, Patrick.
yeah, dude. I just struggle to believe that for some reason California is so special that it gets such bad fires that people are driving on interstates and it looks like hell in front of them.
It does look like hell often. Like out of all the places that I see videos from,
it's kind of awful.
It's really just like Missouri, not on fire, but just how it is, and then California are the two places that are consistently hellish on my phone. I think this is an allegory, or maybe a fable. Maybe we could get Aesop in here, right? You try to save the small fish. You divert a river. You dedicate billions of dollars of resources and time and energy and money and policy to save this one fish because you feel an obligation to be kind or to be vaguely good to the fish. And in doing so, the most expensive real estate in the world gets burned up because you wanted to save the fish. I think this is just a good thing to think about, because I think this happens in a lot of different areas where people are so focused on like this tiny group that they won't address like a larger problem. We were talking about something like this earlier today with therapy. People are so worried that if you critique therapy, then the people that actually need therapy won't go because they're afraid of the stigma, even though there is like a broader problem within therapy that's harming more people than that small group that maybe wouldn't go because someone says something about therapy. I think that's what's happening here, is that there's such fear that someone's going to come after them because of the fish, or the fish are going to gain sentience and be like, you let us die. And they're willing to sacrifice human lives for that end.
Zach Mabry made a good point in the therapy vein of like, there really isn't a stigma anymore. And it's the same thing with the fish. It's like, the problem is that the problem you're worried about isn't really there. And it's such a minute problem that it's probably not going to affect you. Or affect, and it also, it's such a small problem that it could easily be counteracted by adding a little asterisk,
right?
Or,
This might be cold and heartless of me, but let the fish die. I mean, if they can't survive, what are they doing?
We're Darwinists up to a point.
Yes.
When it comes to, perhaps the fish is fat. Perhaps the fish deserves to die.
He was asking for it.
Perhaps the fish sinned greatly.
Yes. We sometimes humans do get to be the hammer of God's justice.
Yes.
Like
when we were killing all those wolves.
Yes, or the bison. When we took out the bison, maybe the dinosaurs. Woolly mammoth. Saber-toothed tiger. The big sloths that we used to have in North America. Dude. We took those out.
I can't believe we got rid of the big sloths.
Dude, I love megafauna, bro. I could do a whole podcast on megafauna. Don't laugh. Why are you laughing at my hobbies?
It's a funny like SAT word to be like a megafauna. You just mean big animals.
Yeah.
What classifies megafauna? Is it like a small fauna that is actually big now? So if you have a sloth, it's a big sloth. Small rat, big rat.
It's pretty basically. It's like big cat, big anteater, big sloth. Those are the types of creatures that I'm talking about.
So an elephant wouldn't be a megafauna because there's no miniature version of it. Would a horse be a megafauna because ponies exist?
If there was like a really big horse.
What about how like there's like mini poodles and there's like big poodles? A big poodle.
It's not relative to the smallest version of that thing. It like has to be truly.
Gotcha. So like I'm not
large.
a megafauna because Josie exists.
Correct.
I'm just a regular fauna.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a couple years ago you were megafauna, but you've slimmed down quite a bit. So.
Is Luke Carey the megafauna of podcasters? Like, because you exist.
Don't make fun of Luke Carey. Don't make fun of me, by the way.
Ethan, help! I'm drowning. I need to find land, perhaps an island, a Greek island, to find safety, both in physical and digital security.
You got your little flippers on?
Yeah, I got my little
swimming boy. You little snorkel.
Swimming. I'm like, help! Someone find me. Do you
You're
know
the type
I'm
of guy.
swimming in an ocean? I'm swimming in an ocean of privacy violations, and I need to find a haven in this digital ocean.
You're the type of guy that would go on an excursion in the Mediterranean and the boat would leave you behind. I just need you to know that. I hear you. I think the internet is getting more and more pernicious. They're making robots that talk and walk and pour drinks.
Pour beer.
And it's getting to be a little bit much. I mean, we're going to Mars, but at what cost? You know what I mean? And I think that each American, especially in the coming years when it's going to become illegal to be Catholic, we deserve our privacy. We deserve to be protected from government overreach and big companies that are spying on us, trying to target us with ads, trying to get us to spend our hard-earned dollars on their junk instead of on investing in a beautiful future for our families and our friends. Patmos Hosting Solutions can solve that. Not only do they protect you from big tech, not only do they provide a one-of-a-kind integrated hosting solution for your business, for your website, for your platform, whatever it is you need, but they will never censor you. They'll never take your data. Even if they 100% disagree with you, even if they think you're the worst person on the planet, they have that integrity, and that's what I really love about Patmos.
Yeah, Patmos has really helped us out over the past couple of months, setting us up on our website. We are believers. We practice what we preach, and so our podcast is secure on Patmos servers, free from any kind of external intrusion that might occur. And they got a great team. They'll walk you through setting it up. It's one-on-one service, which you're not going to get on any competitor web hosting services. You go to your whatever, your Wix space or your Wordly, whatever. They're not going to host your web. They're not going to walk you through hosting. You're going to have to set up some kind of nonsense. They're going to walk you through it. They're going to help you out. They're great over there.
If you tell them that we sent you, you get 10% off. Go to patmos.tech. Let them know that we sent you. Thank you to Patmos for sponsoring this episode of The Crunch. Dude, I'm on my grind. I'm on my lifting grind. I'm switching everything up.
Dude, podcasters are getting jacked in the year 2025.
Yeah.
JD Flynn was talking about how he was deadlifting, and I was like, we're so back, man.
We're cooked.
We're all gonna show up to the Eucharistic Congress, the next one in 10 years, and we're gonna all look like Bishop Barron's friends.
It's gonna sound like an Instagram reel when we walk in.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. It's gonna be like edits. It's to be cuts.
I'm simplifying everything. I'm just doing bench, squat, and deadlift. I'm not doing anything else.
BS.
D. Yeah.
Nah, man, that's you gotta throw in an OHP. Overhead press.
That's true. I alternate. So that's on the days that I don't do bench press, I'm doing overhead press. So it'll hit, I guess, 4 exercises, but 3 exercises per session.
My guy Rod, my trade trainer.
Yeah.
He was like, I was like, how do I get a huge chest? And he's like, all right, you want to know the secret to getting a huge chest? Yeah. I was like, yeah, man. And he was like, stop eating junk food next time. I'm just kidding. No. He said rhomboids, baby. Got to work your rhomboids. Your rhomboids are a muscle in your back that pull your shoulders back and puff your chest out. And so they're a supporting muscle for your chest. Because we all we fragment our muscle groups. Like, oh, my legs. Your body is one thing. And so you have multiple interconnecting muscles. And he's like, your shoulders and your back muscles help puff out your chest. So if you want a big chest, you got to work your rhomboids. So I've been working my rhomboids. In unrelated news, I've been working my rhomboids a bit.
That's good, buddy. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Keep us updated on how that's going.
The guy I was working with, there's other trainers in the gym, and the guy I was working with, I brought it up to him, and he was like, dude, rhomboids, that's right. My training is coming back to me. And he's like, every different exercise I went through, he's like, all right, this one's really going to work your rhomboids. It's a bicep curl.
It's so funny to me. This is such a like you just never hear about guys who are super jacked talking about their rhomboids, you know?
Oh, contraire, mon frere. These stage lifters, they talk about individual muscles like
That's true. I just mean like the average guy that's strong is not talking about his rhomboids at all, but like you who could not, bench press 200 pounds is like, yeah, it's all about
I can bench press 200 pounds.
Can you?
Yes.
How many times?
I don't know. I haven't done it in a while. Maybe I can't anymore.
Yeah. It's just like
the
weakest of us are like, actually, sir, you need to understand that it's the rhomboids.
I like Rod because he's like a jack dude.
He's cool,
but he's kind of low key.
Yeah,
and he's just a nerd that loves like learning about the human body. I just think that's really
that is nice.
So it's like he's like, yeah, this is he just gets like, you know how I get on my soapbox about like the diaconate, the ministerial character or whatever. That's like him with the rhomboids. And I just love when people get nerdy like that about their thing, unless their thing doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like megafauna. We should make fun of people who bring up stupid stuff like that.
No. I love when people geek out about megafauna. I'm just making fun of you because I don't think it's real.
They are real. There's real animals.
I'm just confused by what is megafauna. Like,
we'll talk about it in the bonus podcast. I'll give you a rundown.
We're gonna talk about megafauna in the bonus podcast.
Yes, because you're indicating to me that you don't trust me, and that's a deeper problem.
Duck? Is there a large duck?
No, that wouldn't megafauna? Be no, because fauna is not duck. Fauna is like mammalian.
I'm pretty sure all animals are fauna.
Whatever. Birds aren't animals. They're a different thing entirely. They're
robots. They're made by the government.
No, there's no big ducks. It's really just
turtles, tortoises.
There's a tortoise in there.
Squids.
I would imagine. Squids are big.
Mega squids.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm down to talk about megafauna. Megafauna is anything that's bigger than a human being and has a miniature version of itself.
We'll test that definition in the bonus show.
What do you think a megafauna is? Go to bit.ly/crunch.
That's not the question I want to ask people at the end of the show. I want to say, who do you want us to interview on the podcast? We asked this question in our Discord.
So we're going to bring interviews on the podcast.
We're going to start to do, this is we're just letting you know, in the future, we're going to start to roll out more interview style shows because we think we want to start to have good conversations with people outside of our bubble. Patrick and I, every nook and cranny of our brains have been explored by each other. There's no surprises anymore.
However, we talk all the time and we do, but still we find stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
so it's good.
No, certainly. I'm not saying this is run its course. We're not breaking up, but we want. I think there's other people out there that have really good things to say that we can learn from, that we can incorporate into our sort of sustained argument that we've been making for how to live the Catholic life. Because I think there's other people that have good things to say that we can merge with our own kind of consciousness.
Yeah. And so if you like the just me and Ethan talking, that podcast is always going to exist.
Yes.
On Patreon. It's always going to be the bonus podcast is always going to be me and Ethan talking. So if you like that, make sure to sign up for the Patreon. We're also going to start rolling out some more things for the We're thinking about bringing back the dating corner, but putting it behind the Patreon. Mm-hmm. We're trying to make the main show a more cohesive thing.
Yeah.
We like doing multiple shows, but the thing is, like, stuff that's kind of off topic of the main show should be for patrons. Yes. So we're gonna try to make the main show its own thing and the Patreon something that's like more of what you love. So if you like what we do on this show, go to the Patreon for the bonus show, and there will be more stuff there. $10 a month for the bonus show.
Yes, $10 a month for the bonus show, and if and when we start doing the dating corner again, that will also be at the $10 a month tier. So you won't have to like level up.
Yeah.
No, you
don't have to level up.
Because I don't think that's. I think you should just get all the bonus shows at $10.
Yeah, I agree. I think you should. I think what we should do is we should have a, you get the bonus. You pay $10, and all of a sudden you get 100 episodes of the Crunch. You're like, what do I do? Where do I go? And then eventually we'll do an annual thing where we send you some kind of thing, some kind of present, and you pay for the whole year.
We're gonna send out cardboard cutouts of Patrick, but each person's gonna get a different part of it. So you could get a foot, or you could get an ear, or you could get like a hand. You know.
And every year you get a new part. And you got to put them together.
I think every year we send out a whole Patrick, and if all of the people get together and assemble you totally, then there's an even more secret thing that gets unlocked.
It's our first.
There's a QR code on the back of the disassembled Patrick that when you assemble it and scan it, you get access to secret content. It's so good, you're gonna want to do it.
Yes, you're gonna get it. You all have to assemble in a field in the middle of Kentucky.
Yes.
And yeah, and the UFO will pick you up. Oh man, good stuff. So yeah, let us know who you want to interview on the podcast. Please go to patreon.com, bit.ly/crunch discord.
Yeah, and make it realistic. Don't say Pope Francis. Don't say JD Vance. But just say like real.
Like obviously we want to interview JD Vance. Yeah. That'd be so fun.
Obviously we talk to Pope Francis if given the opportunity. So like just be normal.
The shit. Unfortunately, like we probably could have figured out a way to interview JD Vance until about 6 months ago. That ship kind of sailed, unfortunately.
Yeah. We'll get there.
But then in 4 years, like who remembers? Did you know Al Gore was vice president? I didn't, so that's fine. We'll be able to interview. What you did?
Yes, I knew. That's famously. I know what.
I'm not as plugged in as you are. So not as plugged in. So when JD's not vice president anymore, and he's not going to run in 2028. I can tell you that he's too young. They're not going to run him in 2028. They're going to wait. Anyway,
who else would they run?
We'll interview JD Vance.
Meatball Ron?
Hopefully, probably. Actually, I think they might run him.
No, it's Trump, Vance, Trump. We come back around.
Come back around. Vance is going to undo the.
give Barron the keys. He'll be 30. But I think we can change the rules a little bit for him.
Rewrite the Constitution.
Dude, I would let Barron Trump be president now. If he I don't care. The 35-year rule does not matter to me.
No, not at all.
I think if the Rizzler runs, he should be allowed to get in there if he gets enough votes.
Trump Rizzler 2028.
Dude, Trump Rizzler.
My pronouns are Rizzler.
Dude, did you see that somebody saw the Costco family in the airport and they were going through TSA and he went, "We bring the boom," and everyone's like, "Please don't do that in TSA. Please never do that."
Wait, the Costco guys?
No, the guy who saw them, and then they all turned around and they were like, "Boom!" And it's just like, I can't believe that nothing came of that. Like that should be an error. That should be an issue.
We bring the boom.
To scream, "We bring the boom" in TSA.
I give this box cutter a 5 out of 5. 5 booms on the boom meter. I had a friend see this is the last thing I'll say. I had a friend, I think I said this on the podcast before, we were traveling and he was like, "No box cutters. Come on, if anyone takes over a plane with a box cutter, they deserve to have it."
Fair.
That's how they took over the plane.
I know. I'm aware.
For those of you who are too young to know
we give this cigarette in the lavatory 5 big booms. Boom. Boom. We should smoke on a plane the next time we go on the plane. Come on.
That'd be awesome.
What about you? You and me smoking on a plane.
We break federal aviation laws.
Break some federal aviation. Just a couple. What do you think?
Yeah. All right. I'm done. I have nothing else to say.
All right. We're going to the bonus podcast. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.